special guest. Please reveal yourself.
Hi, I'm Cosmo Wright. I speedrun Wind Waker and other games on Twitch TV. Sup?
Hi,
Awesome.
Cosmo.
Hi, Cosmo.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us, man. We're really happy to have you here.
Speaking of Mario, that new 3D World trailer.
Yeah,
I
let's
was
get to
kind
that,
of,
yeah.
I was underwhelmed with the 3D World presentation I saw at E3.
Yep,
Mhm.
you and
And what
everyone
I
else.
played, and
Yep.
what I played, I was like,
Same here.
even the multiplayer, I wasn't feeling it, and that looks awesome.
Yep.
Dude, so
That trailer looks awesome.
So let's transition to that, right? There was a Nintendo Direct this week, and they led off, I believe, with Super Mario 3D World. And we also had some impressions go up on the site because a couple of folks in the office went to see it.
I played it.
Yeah, that trailer, the music in that trailer was so good. It was this upbeat jazz. Like,
Yeah.
you don't hear that for Mario, like, ever.
So that's the
So
thing,
good.
right? And I wanna live in a world where I can get my new Super Luigi's, and then I can also get something like this. And everyone's like, oh, they keep doing the same thing over. They're reusing assets. They're reusing music. Not in this game. This game is like the crazy, insane, creative Nintendo putting all their strengths behind Mario yet again. Instead of just going, well, yeah, you get the penguin suit and you get the big Mario, and then see you next year. They're like, well, you're a cat and you can play multiplayer, and you can. It's like Super Mario 2. Everyone has different attributes, and also there's this new element now where you get a cherry, and when you get a cherry, you have double Mario's, and when you get another cherry, you have triple Mario's, and that goes up to 5. And that's just in single player. So in multiplayer, I think they cap it at 2 characters each, but there's 4 characters, so you have 8 crazy Mario characters running around. And if you watch the trailer at the end, like that actually happened to us when me and a couple IGN editors went to play with Bill Trinan, who works for Nintendo and has made it a point every time he's ever debuted a Mario game to invite us down so he can publicly shame us. I come in there and he goes,
Is he a god at Mario?
oh man,
I
and
know
he's
this.
just like, all right, so you get this, all right. And then he just whoops our asses in front of everybody, and I'm like, dude, I've been playing video games my whole life. So it's just really, really fun. And I think a lot of the worries people had about this was that it would sort of be a console version of 3D Land.
Yeah.
And in some ways it is, but I would say that the verticality of all the levels leans itself more towards Galaxy than it does 3D Land. 3D Land felt very grounded. Galaxy felt very super out there. This is somewhere in between those two.
It's
And yeah.
weird, right? It's not as showy as a Galaxy where the camera is behind the character and you get this beautiful vista. But then, like, you watch the trailer and he's got like a baseball and a soccer ball, and he picks up a piranha plant. Like, he does all
Yeah.
these different things you haven't seen him do in a game like this before.
Yeah, so think about Galaxy when you're flying through space. Sure, it's fun, and it's like, wow, I've never played anything like this. But the second you hit down on a planet, you go, whoa, what the hell is going on here? Super Mario 3D World does that for every level. It's sort of just like pretend in your mind that you were just flying around in space. If you want your Galaxy 3, this is it. You just land, all of a sudden you're on a planet where there's soccer ball cannons, and the soccer balls are bombs, and Bowser's driving a car.
And he brings in the Soviet army.
Yeah, and you're like, all right, I gotta do all this. Then there's this like limbo level where everything's shadowed out, and it's just like, it's really smart, it's really cool.
great.
Yeah.
Playing in single player and playing in multiplayer for the first time in Mario history feels completely different.
Really?
The last few Mario games, I'd say, and even like the 2D side-scrolling ones, the new Super Mario games, they feel competitive to a sense, but you're also all headed towards the same goal, and you're kind of racing towards it, but you're with each other, and you're collecting coins, and you're stacking up at the end to see if you can build something together. This game is way, way, way more competitive. Like, if you see an enemy on the screen, you want to kill that enemy before anybody else does, because you'll get more points, and those points at the end are tallied up, and whoever wins gets a crown, and you get to carry that crown into the next stage. And I don't know what happens if you beat the stage with that crown, because my friends are horrible.
Yeah,
They all
you
knock
can
me
take
in
the
pit,
crown from
beat the
each
crap
other.
out of me.
Yeah, that's
But
the thing.
we saw an interesting thing happen where we were fighting a boss, and if you jump on the boss 3 times, he's dead. So the first 2 times you jump on him, you get 4,000 points, but the third person to jump on him gets 8,000. So one of us jumped on him, the other guy jumped on him, and then we were like, oh, I really want that 8,000 points. So we were like scrambling to fight each other to get this last hit on him.
Uh-huh.
We were also sort of backing away to not get the second to last hit, because I'm like, well, you take that, I'm going to take the good one. So it really changes the dynamic. I think like the people were worried about this not being a creative Mario game, and it's probably turning out to be one of the most creative ones they've made in ages.
That's awesome.
So, Cosmo, what did you think of that trailer? What was your
Yeah,
impression?
I don't think I was like I don't know if this is gonna get me like give me I don't know what your guys' opinion of the 3DS Mario Land game, 3D Mario Land was, but this one looked like a big improvement to me.
Sure.
And I guess I was more excited. Like I guess in the beginning, like maybe the first half of that trailer, I was like, okay, it's another one of these. But then I saw like I don't know, Peach was floating around shooting fireballs, and like there's all these crazy upgrades and stuff. So it actually looks like a pretty significant like improvement and probably a game worth purchasing.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. I'm really surprised. I'll get to that. I'm really surprised by the amount of mileage and just the reception they're getting out of that one perspective. Because after Galaxy, I feel like the expectation became, oh well, Galaxy was so cool because you were like running along like upside down and on planets and running around, and the camera was constantly making you platform under different viewing conditions.
Yeah.
And they're getting all of this mileage out of sort of this isometric look. But it looks so good. Like a lot of the platforming looked just so much better and what I was expecting versus or compared to 3D Land, as Cosmo brought up, where that sort of fit as a portable game, and then when you unlock the second half, is when you find the challenging stuff. But what they showed in that trailer made it look like, hey, this is going to be challenging from the start.
Yeah, the one thing that it doesn't have is this. You see a screenshot and it has this instant wow factor, right? It does look like 3D Land at a higher fidelity. It doesn't look like, like you don't look at it and go like, oh my god, I have to buy a Wii to play this, or a Wii U to play this.
Sure.
So that's the challenge with that title, I think, just marketing it. But man, if you watch just 10 seconds of gameplay footage, I think you see all the different applications they added, and it looks really fun.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of the effects in the game are really cool too. Like you're running around and there's this sort of Wind Waker-esque cartoon smoke trail behind you.
Yeah, I didn't notice that as much in the original reveal.
It's really sweet, and there's like this all the grass in the game looks like AstroTurf. Like, it looks like it's actually this sort of plastic world somebody built. So I'm a really big fan of the art style. I think it looks really pretty.
Cool.
I think Nintendo's really good at like nailing those kind of aesthetics.
Yeah,
they're really good at like getting that certain type of style out of their games.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at some of the explosions in the game, and I actually made a joke during the demo. I was like, you guys put like the water effects from Uncharted in the background of this game. Because like you just look in the back and there's just like the best looking water you've ever seen. You're like, why is that here in a Mario game? You're not even interacting with it. You're on some giant floating happy square in the sky, like way miles and miles away from it. But they're just like, oh well, we wanted to look good. So
just had something left over from Pikmin.
So we have a Rewind trailer, a Rewind theater up for that. Myself and Marty Sleva just sort of went through frame by frame and picked apart visually what we could, as well as Marty kind of giving his impressions as well, because he was there with Brian. So you should definitely check that out on the site. Some other news from Nintendo Direct: Wii U Party is still a thing. It's coming. It looked really weird because they have this sort of weird minigame variety that I know some people just kind of look down on, and I don't know. I have friends over who will play weird shit like that
Me
sometimes
too.
if I talk them into it.
Though, here's my issue with that game.
Go with it. What do you got?
It looks like it was made by a student. Visually,
it's
just
not
kind of like the gameplay mechanics. Everything looks like something we would get from an iOS developer saying, "Hey, check out my project."
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't look really
Yeah.
remarkable
And
at
Nintendo
all.
has a really high level of polish whenever they release one of their big games, where even like the menu sounds, everything is really memorable, and this doesn't have that. That's my worry with this game, that it's just kind of farted out. We play collection.
Yeah, it looks like those Wii games, right? Where there's no
It feels
personality.
generic.
Yeah, great point. Yeah.
So, but that doesn't mean that it can't be fun. Like a lot of the simplest kind of, Pong games can be really, really fun to play. And I love the concept of putting the tablet down and like scooping and stuff. Like it looks cool.
Sure. I noticed with most of their mini game collections that there's a bunch of duds, and then there's a couple okay ones, but there's always one or two that I'm just like totally hooked on.
Yeah.
So I always keep an open eye out for whatever they're doing next in terms of that, because there's always one or two that I'm like, man, I'm hooked on this thing.
We have a new gamepad stand. Did you guys see it?
No.
So it's basically a way to lay the gamepad sort of like flat for some of the mini games when
Oh,
you're
I did
playing.
see that.
Yeah, another stand for
It's
another
like a
Nintendo
little
product.
table.
Oh, does anyone else feel like there's just like way too many controllers on the Wii U and like accessories? Like
Yeah,
I don't know, you got like
I'm
the
getting there.
Wiimote, the nunchuck, the classic Pro, the Wii U Pro, the gamepad. It's like
Yeah.
I don't know. It
Yeah.
feels like they have a whole crisis going on with the amount of like controllers and accessories and stuff.
honestly-
It's just like confusing, honestly.
It feels
Yeah,
like the
that's fair.
it feels like the NES all over again, where you'd look down on your living room floor and you'd have a power pad and a light gun and a
Yeah,
robot.
who was using a Rob after like the
Nobody.
Nobody.
Right.
Yeah,
He's on my
sure.
desk at work actually.
Oh, that's cool. Very nice.
It's interesting that history kind of repeats itself. So
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Well, for a while, packing in hardware was the big selling item, right? Like
Yeah.
Nintendo made a big business out of selling Wii Play with a controller in it, and then Mario Kart had to have the controller shell for the steering wheel.
Oh, right.
So that was a big thing, and like companies like THQ and Activision tried to duplicate that success, and both of them failed in spectacular ways. The Tony Hawk game with the super expensive technical skateboard packed in failed, and then of course THQ with the whole U-Draw thing.
Yeah, well, and they also, speaking of pack-in hardware, they also had Mario and Luigi, what was it,
Remotes,
controllers?
yeah.
Wii remotes,
Yeah.
So that was a thing as well. That they showed during that direct. I was just going to look up. I believe it was with Wii U Party. I'm pretty sure.
You know what bugs me is like the remotes actually look really cool, but then you have to put the stupid rubber condom thing over it, and they look dumb.
I know.
Like,
We don't have to. Do that.
Yeah, I feel like we're all grown ups now. We're gonna be more careful and not break our TVs, right? So
Yeah.
They look really good, and they have like the Mario and Luigi branding on them. So that's
We
cool.
made that joke when we went to play Mario 3D World at Nintendo last week. Was we just grabbed some of the Wiimotes and picked them up, and I think Sam Claiborne was like, "Dude, you're not going to strap that in. You're going to kill somebody." It's like, we'll be okay. We're adults here.
at every public Nintendo event,
They
there's still
make
somebody
you
comes
know.
up, goes like, "Oh no, you
Please,
have to put on
please
your
don't
your
throw that
wristband."
through our television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, those videos. Remember when that was a
Mhm.
thing? All right, so really quickly, Pikmin 3 DLC pack announced.
Played it.
Pretty cheap. Did you play it already?
Yeah, already
All of
downloaded
it?
last night.
I
Yeah.
downloaded it. What, $1.99, right?
I came home and daughter Sora's Rex said, "Hey, we gotta download this."
And it's a lot smarter too, because when you buy it off the eShop, then it just installs. It wasn't like that weird situation with New Super Mario Brothers where you had to get a title update in order to then go download the update
It
for
was such
New
a
Super
secret.
Luigi U. Yeah, it was so.
And on the
Bad.
homepage of the eShop right now, it says new DLC available, and there's all these little Pikmin holding up the sign. So they're not trying to hide it like they did.
And in the game, when you go into the challenges, you can see like
Well,
available
after you
now in
update
the
it. So that's the thing. Yeah,
Oh,
you
I
gotta
see.
update it first.
Yeah, they need to figure out how to do that. Like,
But there's
from the
more
get-go.
coming.
Yeah.
That's my impression, right? This is just the first
Well-
of probably like 5 or 6.
Well, the other modes only have like one row of challenges, so
Mhm.
you could see maybe in one of them, maybe not the boss battle one, unless they bring back old Pikmin bosses that you could do DLC. But we played it, downloaded the free one first, finished that one super fast, and then just wanted to play all of them. And they're really fun challenges. They're tough, like. With some of the early ones, we were able in co-op mode, to beat them like with platinum right away. These later ones definitely a little tighter on time. You really got to know where stuff is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
I
it
love
seems
it.
like I think Nintendo. It almost seems like they are kind of promoting like, hey, here's the game that's like just a party game, the Wii Party. Then they got like this DLC pack, and it's kind of like, oh, like there is actual gameplay depth here, and we would like to see you do your best or whatever, have a good time with the challenges or whatever. So it's kind of seems like they are kind of getting kind of both markets or whatever.
Cool.
But I
sure.
don't know.
Mm-hmm. All right, so a couple of others. They had a new trailer for Bravely Default, where they showed off some of the voice acting, which
It said underneath, almost apologetically, you can have the audio in Japanese. if
thank
you
God.
want to.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah.
But the game looks fantastic. I have been looking forward to that, and that's a 2014 game.
And
as
it's an
well.
RPG from Square.
Yep. So that's something to get excited for. Speaking of 2014, though, we got the confirmation that Donkey Kong is delayed until February of 2014, and I would like to talk to this panel about that because some Twitter followers mentioned, just sort of like 3D. The wonderful 3D World trailer was a consolation prize that they just kind of felt cheated that Donkey Kong's not coming out this year. Now, my argument is, first of all, I don't get up in arms when games get delayed anymore because I feel like 7 to 8 times out of 10, that usually helps that product be better when it comes out. At least I want to believe that. Unless it just falls into another delay and it becomes a cycle like The Last Guardian. The game will come out and it's a good game.
But you also have access to so many games, right? If you are, think about people who don't do this for a living, who maybe only have one console, and they love the last Donkey Kong game, and they want one so badly, and that's their number one game that they're looking forward to this year. And then
I'm surprised by that though, just because
Yeah,
the reception to Donkey Kong even at E3 was another one. Like I
you
don't
know what?
guys, it
But
may have
that's
been too close.
But that's the press, right?
That's true.
That's us,
That's
and
true.
there are a lot of gamers who really love those titles. And in the past, I mean, Donkey Kong 64 sold like crazy. I remember that, and we were all kind of like, it's not that great. And there are lots of
I think a lot of the
fans.
perception is that people think that the moment this game comes out, retro is going to start Metroid.
Oh, is that it?
So they're sort of like, get out of the way, get out of the line. We
Uh-huh.
want Metroid here, So this thing is sort of holding back in their minds, of course.
But in
Oh, that would
reality-
be interesting.
Yeah.
In reality, Donkey Kong will outsell Metroid.
Oh, 10
you know,
to 1.
any of these Donkey Kong
Yeah.
games will outsell any Metroid
Sad
game.
truth.
It's sad but true. But hey, man, maybe this game is gonna be really cool. I certainly like the visuals and just kind of like the frantic pace of it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. But then, like I was talking about somebody with this, like somebody said Mario goes up against the next gen console launches, and I was like, no, actually Mario goes up against Link Between Worlds, honestly. Like, I feel like those
Yeah.
two titles are in the same, cater to the same audience, and they're launching in the same time frame.
Same
like,
day.
I actually think maybe having too many of these games that are kind of more cartoonish and Nintendo fun in the same quarter could be an issue for them, right?
Jose, are those games really launching on the same day?
Yeah. 3D World and
That's me, right?
Link Between
Which
Worlds
day?
are the same day, November 22nd.
Wow.
So the week after the
Well,
PS4.
that's also the day that the
Is that the Xbox One?
comes out.
Jesus!
Same day.
Oh my
right?
God.
It's the
So-
apocalypse. It's happening.
Yeah.
So ergo, I mean, for us, not having a Donkey Kong game is just fine because there are 9 billion other games to
Yeah.
play, including on both Nintendo platforms, right?
So I'll accept that point, but
And
I
there's
feel
Pokemon
like
too, Jesus.
yeah, that too, October 12th. I will accept that point, but I feel that right now, at least, I'm going to speak now for myself. I'm going to try and remove the press hat for a second. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze has not really impressed me yet,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping that just like Mario 3D World, with a little bit more time, another trailer, another like hands-on whatever, I will come around. Where it was sitting in this release window, even in December, to me was like, well, whatever, that's coming out in December.
Yeah,
sure.
So I'm hoping that with this delay, they'll find ways to turn people like me, because I don't think I'm alone on that. But
Mhm.
again, I do totally agree with your point though, Pear, where if on the consumer side, this can be something that someone is really looking forward to, and it's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
I think Nintendo delays usually pay off versus some other publishers.
I just think, like, and I didn't even mention Sonic. I mean, there's a new Sonic Wii U and a 3DS game as
That's
well,
right.
right? And like, I feel like these are all kind of sharing the same universe. you
Yeah.
know? Like, so I think it's going to be better for that game, honestly, to have follow through in February with this release rather than us sitting here going like, man, I finished all these games, I've got nothing to play on my Wii U now. So
Mhm.
I think it'll be okay. So don't be too mad there, folks. You got the consolation prize of a Kirby trailer.
That's a good point. So before they talked about the Kirby trailer, though, they did talk about Zelda: Link Between Worlds, and there was more insight by none other than Eiji Aonuma, the series producer right now. And it was interesting, right? It was him coming up to basically say, hey, that idea of Zelda being linear? Well, this game is going to toss that out completely. There will be an item shop. And the item shop was revealed on Miiverse initially. It was one of the updates that Aonuma put up into one of the Zelda rooms. But there was a bit more context put into it, right?
Already theories that the shop owner is the same as the mask salesman, because in one of the screenshots you can see Majora's Mask hanging on the wall,
Yeah.
presumably as a non-usable item, but like, he wears this full body kind of nabbit suit, so
Yeah.
who knows who's hiding underneath that, but I have a feeling it's just going to be a new character. We'll see.
Yeah.
People always get in these theories because
Yeah.
Nintendo always like hints at like past games, so people like develop these like
Yeah.
huge interconnected like I don't know. It's kind of funny how that works, but yeah, the item shop. I always like thinking about like the structure of the Zelda games, and like for example, I think Majora's Mask is really interesting, just like the whole structure of it with the time and like the side quests and everything.
Yeah.
And this seems like this kind of announcement with this whole thing where you can like just get whatever item like and it becomes super non-linear. I think it's really interesting. It kind of makes me a lot more curious about the game because like
Go on.
yeah, just like the structure might be like really interesting because of that.
Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that actually the dungeons have different degrees of difficulty, just like in the original Zelda game, right?
Sure.
Where like you can get yourself in trouble if you go to the more difficult dungeon first. I would love that. Rather than
Yeah,
having
that would be really great.
Yeah, rather than having adaptive difficulty where you only have to hit the boss 3 times if you have 3 hearts or whatever, or 10 times if you have 10 hearts. If it was really difficult to do some of those dungeons out of order, that'd be awesome,
Yeah, I always play the ones in the original Zelda out of order. Like, if you can beat the third dungeon in that game without beating the first and second, and it's harder than the first two, then yeah, go for it. So if they're inviting that kind of play, then that's really cool from my perspective, and it's probably even 10 times cooler for someone like you, Cosmo, because you can just kind of go like, hey, I'm gonna get the hammer, I'm gonna beat the main boss, and there's my
right,
sleeve.
yeah, like just like the whole like the concept of doing things in weird orders in games just is like really cool because it just adds so much replayability. Like you get to try out all these different things.
Yeah.
And I also would really like to see like difficulty in later dungeons. Like you kind of just wander into this area that's like super hard, and you're like, whoa, maybe I should come back here later, but I kind of want to keep going and see if I can like get through it. I don't know if that will necessarily happen just because of like, I mean, you look at Skyward Sword and like Fee is like telling you what to do throughout like the entire game, so
Right.
Yeah.
kind of not very optimistic on something like that, but it's kind of set itself up so it might actually be a possibility. So I guess I'll
Well, they have the challenge. They have the challenge that they need to make games for a really wide audience, right? The kids play it, and people like us who've beaten the original and kind of know the structure of the gameplay, and so they want to have a good experience for everyone. And I thought, the last Mario games did a good job with like the bubble mechanic, or the hey, beat this level for me kind of features.
Yep.
So hopefully they can bring that into the Zelda games, where when I'm on the last boss and he's kicking my ass, that a helper can appear and say like, man, you're getting your ass kicked. Do you need some help here? I got this magic wand, and I can say no. I'm going to do it myself. So there's that. They've been slowly developing that kind of stuff in their games. So maybe we'll get some of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Just to kind of bring this back around, a lot of what Aonuma was talking about too, we heard him talk about earlier this year, right? That January Nintendo Direct, where he basically tossed out there, okay, we're rethinking the conventions of Zelda. What does it mean to be single player, and the idea of experimenting with dungeons, or the linear way that you play Zelda. And I feel like so far, I mean, I assumed he was talking about the Zelda for Wii U. And it turns out, the what does it mean to be single player was the Wind Waker experiment with the bottles, and the sort of the linear path of Zelda is now A Link Between Worlds.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting / weird to me. I don't know. I assumed those were for the next game, and I hope these experiments are somehow influencing now that next game.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sort of my concern / worry. And I'm with you also, Cosmo, as far as like structure goes. Like, what is it going to do that I have to save up money to buy an item? And how that's going to play into.
I just think it's
games.
really cool that they have the guts to change that, right? Like, it's something that we all love, but kind of complain about, and like to turn it on its head. I just think it's really cool.
No, I agree.
Because now I'm curious. I'm like, wait, how is this going to work? I thought I knew the overworld, and I'm seeing the trailer, and there's a freaking windmill and a fat Zora queen and stuff, right? Just seeing that gives me hope that there's a lot more to this game than simply added mechanics of having walking like an Egyptian hieroglyphic.
So they also clarified that Nabbit and Rovio are not the same person,
Yep.
which is a missed opportunity to me, because you didn't put a Chomp in Link's Awakening and then say, oh, well, that's not Chomp.
But what,
Yeah,
what if it is the mask salesman? Maybe it is a link between two worlds,
No,
literally,
that's fine.
with
Yeah.
Majora's Mask,
Yeah.
right?
I'll take it. I'm
you
just saying.
You wouldn't want Nabbit to take Majora's Mask.
people eat that stuff up. They love all those like connections like that. They
For
really do.
sure.
What if they're linking between Mario's worlds? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
It was amazing that they even had to be like. Now a lot of people were confused, but I was like, I wasn't. Just show me something cool.
Maybe it's like Bioshock. Maybe like there's always a boy and a princess.
Yeah.
And a demon king and this mask and this guy.
And
It is.
spoilers.
No, that's
And a
exactly
pot.
that's exactly what Zelda is. There's always this green kid that wakes up and he's got to fight the thing.
Mhm.
That's it. That's the whole. Like, you don't need a
There's
timeline.
always
You don't
a
need
man.
There's a boy and a fairy, and he's
Mhm.
tired. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to go to.
He doesn't
work.
always have a fairy, but yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Or he starts out without one. All right, next, Kirby's. So in Japan, they have the subtitle Triple Deluxe. I believe in the States it doesn't have a subtitle, but it is a Kirby game for 3DS. I don't know. We'll see. Like, I guess I could be excited for that, but I'm not really a big fan of Kirby. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Anyone?
gonna skip it.
So far, I mean, I want it to impress me. I'll wait until it impresses me. Right now, I'm not impressed.
Yeah, we'll see. You
Yeah.
never know. I mean, like, the past games have been so different. The gameplay mechanics of Kirby games have been, from rolling them with your stylus to like classic platformers to like So we don't know what it's going to be like in the end. And
I
we'll see.
actually thought Canvas Curse was the
Yeah.
best Kirby
Yes,
game
that
in
was really
the last
good.
10 years. I really like that.
So
game.
was what was the one where he splits up into all these? It was like Kirby Daigasso, like something like that, where he
Yeah.
splits up into all those little Kirbys.
Yeah.
There was like
That's
up to
right.
10 of them.
Mass Attack or whatever?
Mass Attack.
Yeah.
There we go.
And then
yeah.
there was Air Ride, which, by the way, my kid still swears is a good game, and I loathe
How
it.
old is your kid?
No, they're like.
I know a lot of people who
12
think Air Ride is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I play it.
I
I'm
never
like,
really got into it that much, but I never really, I guess, had it. I never like bought it or anything.
You
So
don't need to get into it. You could pick up the controller,
Put
press
it down.
start, put it down, and you would win.
Yeah. That. But apparently, there's something to it. They really
Yeah.
love it.